Hey guys, welcome back. Woodworking here. Pretty excited about today's video. I am not playing in this game. I am just spectating. The roamer I'm going to follow around is Hotness level. And so he's going to do a lot of things that I'm going to comment on. I'm going to be very nitpicky, but I think it'll help you guys out a lot because he does a lot of things I did when I was his tier. And you'll be able to see the negative effects of not doing things well has. There is a little bit of frame rate lag in this video. Sorry about that, just the way a spectator works, at least when I spectate. So bear with those moments. So if you were the Arden and your team just got drafted into this comp, you should be thinking about, first of all, Crucible for Katherine. You're going to need an Atlas for Ringo. And then the standard stuff, War Treads, obviously you're going to get Fountain first. One nitpicky thing on the way he does his first farm rotation, he shouldn't have gotten aggro on this Treant, the third minion. He should have let Ozo take in that. The reason why is look how low his health is when he gets to the shop. So because Vox rotated well, Petal actually wasn't able to shop here. The enemy team is able to grab their fronts there, so they get out, and nothing really wrong with that. He had a good flare, he saw them. The only issue I have here is his build. You can see in the bottom that he bought 2 Oak Hearts, and I always say you should be rushing Fountain. 2 Oak Hearts does not help you rush Fountain. A good thing he did here, just like the first rotation to the jungle shop, is he flared the enemy shop bush. Very good habit to do. It's good to know what you're getting into. So far, his vision's been very good. Let's talk about his build, though. He appears to be building towards Crucible. I don't know why you would ever do that on Arden. Yes, extra health scales his Vanguard into more fortified health, but Fountain. I don't know how many times I can say it. Probably never enough. Fountain first. Fountain first. Fountain first. Another nitpicky thing I want to mention here is Katherine's been in lane since the first jungle rotation, harassing his Vox. She's the entire reason he's so low. She's just been building stacks on Vox, and good Katherines are going to do that. After the first rotation, they're going to be in lane because they need to build the stacks they build by stunning. And the easiest way to do that is be around the enemy laner. So he should be with his laner, making sure that he doesn't get killed. One of the biggest things this Arden does wrong, besides his build, is he just spams his Vanguard ability for no reason quite often. As I've said in my first Arden video, that 13-second cooldown is too long, and if you think you can just spam it every time it comes up, you're going to see throughout this game how if he would have saved it, entire fights would have gone their way rather than them getting aced if he had used his Vanguard at the proper time rather than just spamming it because the ability came off cooldown. So rather than building towards Fountain or even finishing off Crucible here, he decides to buy a 300 gold Iron Guard contract. Wrong. Do not do this. If you're even thinking about getting Iron Guard contract, which I do not suggest, get it the very first buy before the game has even started. Otherwise, it's a huge waste of money. And if you take a peek at the farm, Ringo's out farming Vox by quite a bit. And the reason for that is solely because Katherine's harass on Vox has been better than his ability to be with his laner. I'm going to pull you out of this game for a moment to talk about mine placement. This is how I place mines around the middle of the map, gold mine shop area. The reason I place mines here is because they give the best amount of vision on the least likely paths to be trod by the enemy team. Those mines I placed on the tri-bush give both vision of the gold mine and of the tri-bush. And that's a lot of vision gained for just one mine placed. The mines I placed on the lane bush The enemy team, if they just click to walk down into your jungle, will not trigger that mine. It happens a lot. I know it looks like there's not much room there, but just the way the pathing works in this game, they will not trip that mine. All right, watch Arden here. Katherine's going to go in for a stun, and then after the stun's over, Arden's going to Vanguard Vox. Why? There's no reason to do that. It offers nothing except you just wasted an ability that has a 13-second cooldown. Then when Petal shows up, the ability comes off cooldown. He immediately Vanguards Vox again, and watch what happens because of that. He went from being, let's say, over 3/4 health to 1/4 health. The lane starts pushing, and right here, he shouldn't show himself. His health is low, and Vox can take care of this wave himself. He has Iron Guard contract, so he's gaining health every time Vox kills a minion. But instead, he jumps in, Vanguards, and gets himself killed. Absolutely pointless. It was not an aggressive move. It was not a defensive move. There was just no reason for it. Katherine just got her fountain, and our Arden decides to start building towards fountain. At this point, he should have just finished off his crucible. Having a tier 3 item this far into the game is more important than, even if he realized, oh shit, I should have built fountain first. Finish your crucible off. It's 500 gold. You would have had something to help your team. Right now, he has nothing to help his team. No activatables. Katherine and Ringo come walking up through Arden's lane bush here, and he immediately Vanguards Vox. What if this fight goes south for them and Vox needs to get out because he's stunned? He has no Vanguard for him for that entire engage now. I decided to check the builds here, and so you guys are going to miss an engage here. But it is completely because he didn't have Vanguard that Vox dies right here. So there you go. Huge repercussions so far just from the simple things I'm saying. All you have to do is not spam an ability. Wait for that ability to be important to use it. Ozo's going to come up here, and they're going to get a really good gank on Ringo. Nice stun there. That was actually a good Vanguard because it slowed Ringo's escape. And he did get fountained, so it actually allowed them to finish off Ringo. Might not have got him if he wouldn't have done that. I want to talk about the gauntlet he just used. Although we could see Petal on this screen, he did not know Petal was there. So he was completely using that gauntlet to try to finish off the kill on Katherine. And she was under turret. That was a big waste. And now he has a 110-second cooldown cooking on arguably his strongest ability. Ozo's going to engage with Petal here. This Vanguard wasn't horrible, but think about what would have happened if he would have saved that ability. Really bad Crucible there. There was no reason for it. I guess maybe he got scared of the stun from Katherine. I don't know. But he decides to drop a mine during that fight. I don't know why. Ozo was probably going to die anyway. It was a bad choice by Ozo to engage there because, as you saw, Ringo and Katherine were just able to rotate down a couple meters and finish that off. With the amount of health he has right here, there's no reason he should have been that far in front of the turret. And he dies for it, and then Vox dies for it. If you're that low, you need to stay behind the turret. Still stay in the fight because you have Vanguard. You can still offer something, but don't be that far in front of your turret. You're just dying for no reason. Talking about builds again really quick. He did eventually decide to finish Crucible before finishing Fountain. So if he's going to do that anyway, he should have just bought Crucible that first shop. He was able to buy Crucible instead of buying both the tier 2 items that lead into Fountain. He just used a Vanguard and then a Gauntlet for no reason. Ozo wasn't taking that much damage, and even if they had gotten Petal in that Crucible, what is that going to offer them? They're right under the enemy's spawn. They're probably going to be there in a minute. That's not a good time to use Gauntlet. And it directly leads to them getting aced. Imagine if he had had Gauntlet up and Fountain in that fight, which he should have because we're 10 minutes into the game. That could have gone completely different. He could have kept the enemy from retreating to their lane, and that could have easily been an ace for their side if he had been building and using his abilities properly. Nitpicky thing I want to say about this fight, he should have stayed with Vox here. Your laner is generally your hard carry, so as a roamer, you want to do more work protecting them than you are protecting your jungler. And Vox dies for it. It's still a really good fight for them. He still did a lot of work in this fight, but if he would have stayed with Vox, probably all three of them would have been up, and they could have gotten the ace. His build's finally catching up to where it needs to be. Most roamers at this tier can't block Kath's silence, but the only way to learn how to do it is to start trying. So expect her to use it in fights. Just focus on her in fights and see if you can't block them every once in a while. From our spectator view, that was a great gauntlet. But once again, he only had vision on Katherine. So he's using his longest cooldown, best ability to enclose a Katherine. The only other thing he didn't do well in this fight is he fountained early because he was fountaining himself, and he didn't even really need fountain at that point yet. Could have saved that a little bit longer. And then he also stayed with Ozo again instead of staying with his Vox. Right here, right after they got the ace, he should have run straight to the gold mine and started it. Instead, he goes up to the lane. As you can see, Ringo's already up. They are going to get this turret, but they're going to have to work very hard for it, and they could have got a free gold mine that was half full. They overstay their welcome getting this turret. All his activatables are still down, so he couldn't even fountain his team if he wanted to, which is another reason why they shouldn't have gone for that turret. And so one of his teammates dies. When he goes back to the shop here, he's finally going to buy boots. He should have had those earlier. It's caused him to be behind in fights a couple times. He didn't need tier 2 boots until now, but definitely should have had tier 1 boots earlier on in the game. Katherine just bought a contraption, and when you see this as a roamer, you should realize that you're going to start losing the vision game. Arden's going to do one of these wasted gauntlets again here. All he saw here was that Petal just walked into Tribrush. He has flares on him, he doesn't use any of them. He hits his own boots, uses Gauntlet, doesn't get anybody in it. Even if he had stunned Petal there, Ozo was still at the shop, and Vox wasn't in a position to capitalize on that stun. He Vanguards himself, and I know he was trying to slow down Ringo, but if he would have still had Vanguard up, he could have saved Vox's life. He also completely neglected to use Fountain there, and that would have saved Vox's life too. And if you look at when he did use it, both him and Ozo had over 85% health. Since he didn't use it on Vox, that was way too early. He makes the right decision here to stay on the carry. Unfortunately, Ozo didn't get the memo, so they switched to Katherine. Take a look at Ringo's death timer here. They are right next to the enemy's spawn, and they're spending way too much time trying to track down this kill on a roam, and it's going to cost them. If you see one of your carries lingering too long in a dangerous area, you need to caution ping them and ping them to run away. You guys can learn a lot from that fight. They still won until they overextended, but if he would have used Fountain on Vox and Vanguarded at the right time, that fight would have gone way different, and he should have pinged his Ozo to get out. He grabs War Treads, and now he has 4 tier 3 items at 15 minutes. So that's pretty good, actually. Here, him and his Ozo go face-checking into this Tribush. He doesn't flare even though he has one. He wastes Vanguard on Ozo. And then think about this logically. He decides to Gauntlet here when it's just him and Ozo. Vox is still down for 8 seconds when he uses Gauntlet. Why is he forcing a fight 2v3 when his hard carry and third teammate is still dead? Not only that, but now Crucible, Fountain, War Treads, and Gauntlet are now on cooldown as Kraken's pushing into their base. Here he's going to do another one of his infamous Vanguards that's wasted. If you Vanguard Ozo into a 2v3, you can't Vanguard him out if things go south. As I said before, most roamers, and carries for that matter, at this skill tier cannot block Katherine's silence. So I don't really have a problem with him using Crucible on Ringo's ult there. Wasn't the best thing to use it on, but at least he did use it on something that's blockable. He's forced to Fountain his team, 3v1 against a Katherine because his carries, who should know better, are attacking Katherine while her bubble's up. Let's talk about infusions really quick. He should have infused when he was dead while the Kraken was marching into base, and he should have also infused right now. At both times, he had enough gold to do so. This is a mistake I still make, so I really can't fault him too much for it. I tend to not want to infuse until I'm fully built, and when it's late game, i.e. when you're level 12, you should be infusing when you have enough gold to do so. Nice use of war treads there to get Vox out of danger. And even though he screws up the pathing on his gauntlet, I'm actually okay with it because it was the right time to use it. However, he doesn't use Fountain or Crucible before Vox dies. And what happens when your hard carry goes down first? You lose fights. This game should be over now, and it would be completely Arden's fault that they lost. However, you're about to learn a very valuable lesson on why you don't troll. If you get a chance to finish a game, you finish it. As a spectator, I'm assuming this game's over, so I'm going to go into the build screen. Let's talk about those for a second. I'm completely okay with him getting contraption here, and it was nice of his team not to sell all their builds and quit, which you'll often see people do. Nothing really more to say about this other than this is what trolling gets you. So if this is what you want to have happen, troll. And look, he goes back and remembers to infuse. So he's played very well over the last minute of this game. That being said, it's time for another mistake. His whole team here should have immediately ran to the Kraken and started it right after they killed the enemy roam and jungle. Ringo wouldn't even had a chance to show his face before they finished off that Kraken. Since they chose not to do that, however, he is doing the next best thing, popping vision and placing his own. Ozo gets separated from the team here and lingers by the Kraken, almost gets caught out. Here comes another one of those infamous early vanguards. I know people love to say all's well that ends well, but that was not a good gauntlet. Two things. He almost missed, and he only had vision on Ringo. So if Ringo would have reflex blocked out of that gauntlet, he could have easily led his team into a trap. In summary, he kind of uses Gauntlet the same way he uses Vanguard. The moment he sees the enemy, he's just going to use an ability because it's up off cooldown. It was a good choice to start Kraken, however, I hate what they do here. They allow the enemy jungler and roam to lure them away from the Kraken. They should have put the damage down on him, kept the Kraken leashed, and just gone back and gotten Kraken. Even though they secure a kill on Katherine here, that was a bad idea. And had Ringo not overextended here, that could have really cost them. That was a nice gauntlet. He contains Ringo and then Atlases him, capitalizing on Ringo's mistake. Two things to take away from this. Don't troll, and what you do at the very end of the game matters way more than what you've done the whole rest of the game. Pay attention here because it's the best thing he's done the whole game. He gets out Crucible and Fountain on time and keeps his Vox alive. So as I said at the beginning of this video, the things I'm harping on and critiquing this guy really hard on are things that I did wrong when I was tier 6 and 7. I spammed abilities right when they came up rather than saving them for more tactical usages. As to blocking Katherine's silence, for a long time I just decided it was something I was never going to be able to block, but that's not how you get better at this game. She has a very specific animation for when that silence is coming out. Pay attention to her in fights, look for that animation, and just try to block a silence. Even if it takes you forever and you only get maybe 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20, who cares? That's how you get better at this game. Pros still can't block that silence all the time. I block it maybe half the time. As to Arden's build, endgame, fully complete, it's great. However, he didn't build in the right order, and you just watched it cost them the first 15 minutes of the game. If he would have built in the right order, they probably would have finished this game long before the enemy had a chance to troll. I really do hope you guys learned something. I'll see you on the fold.